Hi everyone, this is Dave from Pandora Prime Recon, and we're here with my second video on how to play the Warhammer 40K CCG by Sabertooth Games. Be sure to check out the first part, which covers turn order, deployment, and how to win. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and comment if you have any questions, and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. So what are the card types in the 40K CCG? So there are three main card types. The first, and arguably the most important, are units, which you'll see. The Blind Dose Terminators is an example of a unit. Let me move everything else aside so you can take a quick look at it. So units are basically the bread and butter of your deck and will help you capture sectors and fight your opponent's armies. So we'll go from top to bottom, we'll go through different stats on a card. So starting from the top, we have the flag. Flags are needed to capture sectors in the game. In order to capture a sector, let me just show you the sector card really quick here. So in order to capture a sector, again, if you reference my last video, you're going to need to capture 3 of 5 sectors to win the game, or to have more victory points than your opponent at the end of the game. So in order to capture a sector, you have to have at least as many flags as the sector requires, plus you have to have more flags than your opponent in order to take the sector. So that's why flags are really important, is that you need them to basically help you win the game. And obviously, having a flag is better than not having a flag. But generally, non-flag units kind of make up for that by being generally more powerful on the field than flag units, as a general rule. So to move on, we've got firepower. Firepower basically denotes how much damage that this unit can deal in a shooting attack. I'll cover shooting attacks a little bit later. Speed dictates how hard it is for an opposing unit to block this unit's shooting attack. Again, I'll go over that again. Armor is the amount of damage that's needed to destroy this unit. So damage isn't persistent in this game. It's not like, oh, I can deal 3 damage to the Terminators and then 1 damage in another action. You have to deal 4 damage at once to destroy it. So you'll see a little bit further down, you've got keywords. Keywords are basically the types that this card represents. And in itself, these words don't really do anything, but there are a lot of cards in the game and there's some mechanics in the game that refer to unit types. So when that happens, just basically look at the card to see. And in later sets, later printings, you'll see that assault units don't have this unit type anymore, but they are, if they have an assault value, then they are an assault unit. So just to clear that up. So moving on, you've got the text box, which will show any additional abilities that the unit has. You'll see that the Blind Dose Terminators are fairly vanilla. They shoot, they assault, that's basically it. There are other units that can, lock, aka tap, to do certain things, or they have tactic abilities or reaction abilities, which we'll probably cover in a separate video. But like a magic card, if the unit does anything else, it's going to be here. And on the left-hand side, you've got the race symbol, which denotes basically which of these cards you can play in your deck. So if you're playing Space Marines, you can only play cards with this symbol or generic cards. And the same goes for, Chaos, Eldar, Orcs, all the other races. And below that, you've got kind of the faction symbol. The faction symbol, again, doesn't really do anything by itself, but there are cards in the game which refer to specific factions. If you're playing a specific faction's fleet card, for example, if you're playing Blood Angels, it's going to refer to this symbol for any abilities or mechanics that are required. And the last symbol is basically for fluff. This doesn't really have any mechanic in-game, but if you're familiar with force organization charts from Warhammer 40K, this is kind of like a little bit of flavor, which will show you what kind of unit this is. So I think this is elite. Might be a little bit rusty, but I think this is elite, which makes sense for Blind Dose Terminators. So we flip the card around. We've got their command line. So every card in your deck will have a command line when you draw it in your command hand during battles, which we'll probably cover a little bit later. So this most likely will not really affect this card while it's on the battlefield, but the die roll is something that can be affected on the battlefield, but again, it's mostly for when you're rolling the card off top of your deck. And usually, the lower the die roll, the stronger the card, which is a way of kind of balancing out certain units on the field and their power levels. That's generally how it is, but there are exceptions. So we've gone through all the different characteristics of a unit card, and just to give you a sense of what these numbers mean, because like me telling you something as firepower 3 doesn't really mean a whole lot to you. But let's just demonstrate a shooting attack really quick. So let's say we have a battle fighting over the Barbican Peaks. See if I can fit all the cards on frame. Let's say I'm fighting against orcs here. So let me move the camera really quick. Here we go. So in terms of speed, let's say my art boys are going to shoot at the Terminators. So I'm going to shoot with firepower 3. There are no other units the Space Marine player has, so they can't block, but the Terminators will take 3 damage. Again, this is not enough to destroy the Terminators, so nothing happens. So as another example, let's say the Blind Dose Terminators decides to shoot at the Ard Boys with firepower 3, so they're speed 1. So in order to block a shooting attack, you need to have greater speed than the shooting unit. So the war bikes fit this bill. So because they have speed 3, which is greater than speed 1, so they can take the hit instead of the Ard Boys. So in order to block, it's really simple. You just lock your unit, and then the shooting attack from the Blind Dose Terminators is again redirected to the Warbike squad instead of the Ard Boys. So the Warbike would take 3 damage, it would be destroyed, it would put in your discard pile, and that would be the shooting attack for the Space Marines player. Assault a little bit different. How you assault is you need to spend 1 battle action. Normally, shooting is a battle action, and that's it. You shoot, and there's no other steps are required. Assaulting is a little bit different. It's kind of a 2-step process. You need to spend a battle action to charge your unit. And to charge, it's really simple. You just turn your unit upside down to show that it's charging. And then you'd have to spend another battle action to actually assault and deal damage with your assault unit. So what usually happens is that you're going to charge as your battle action. Your opponent is going to do something else as their battle action. They'll play a BA card from their hand, they'll shoot, they might charge it with one of their own assault units, and then once you take your next battle action, you can assault. So normally it's a little bit slower than shooting because you need 2 battle actions to successfully execute an assault. But the upside is that assault units generally deal more damage. They generally have higher assault values than shooting units, and you cannot block an assault. So they can't choose another unit to lock and take the hit for the target of your assault. So that's another advantage of an assault unit, is that it's unblockable. So I think that covers a little bit of combat to kind of give you a sense of what the numbers mean. So let's go over the other card types. So the second card type is character. Characters are a little bit different. They don't have flags. They usually don't have flags. There's some characters which can gain flags as their own special abilities, but generally they don't have flags. They also can't be targeted by shooting or assault unless they're locked, which kind of shows them, kind of showing themselves in battle once they've revealed themselves and, started influencing the battle itself. So usually there's some ability that gives them the ability to lock to do something, and that's what makes them vulnerable to attack. In order to destroy a character, it's really simple. Once it's locked, or if you have a special ability which destroys a character outright, you have to make an armor save. An armor save is in the top left corner. So you see for Apothecary Singa, his armor save is a 6+. That means he has to roll a 6 or higher to survive an attack. Usually armor saves are pretty hard to pass. I don't know if there are any 4+ armor saves. I think they're very rare if there are. Usually the armor saves in the game are 5+ and 6+. But like other cards in the game, they can lock to do things. They can't shoot or assault. They can't block. They just kind of sit there, they do their thing, they use their abilities, and if your opponent decides to attack them, they have to be locked in order to do so. And again, they've got command line, like every other card in the game, and a die roll, like every other card in the game. And the third type is Fortification. Fortifications are kind of like, they're kind of like artifacts in Magic, kind of like a mix between artifact and planeswalker. So I'm confused. This is really, I'm overcomplicating things. Because like characters, then Fortification just sits on the battlefield. They can't shoot, they can't assault, they can't charge, can't block. But they usually have flags, which is good, which helps you take the sector, and they'll have an armor value, which, again, like a unit, you'll need to deal enough damage to its armor value to destroy it. And like characters and units, they have a text box, which gives them special abilities. So fortifications are usually ways to give you additional options in a battle. The downside is, again, that they can't fight, and usually they can't destroy opposing units. There are a few that can, but it's very rare. But they're usually used to kind of support your units as they fight. And again, like all the other unit types, they've got a command line and die roll. So I think that's quite a quick rundown of all the 3 unit types in the game. In terms of deck construction, I believe the rulebook says that, at least suggests that you should have at least 40 flag units in your deck to reliably capture sectors. I usually go between 45 and 50 flag units because, especially if your deck has a lower first wave, that means it's especially important for your deployments to have flags in order to reliably capture sectors. But again, deck building is kind of another situation entirely. This video was to give you an idea of the different card types that are available to you and kind of how they interact. My next video will probably go more into reactions, tactics, modifiers, all the different special abilities, and how a battle usually plays out at a sector, like battle actions, that kind of thing. And again, it's hard to talk about one subject without kind of delving into the others, but I hope this gives you a little bit better idea of what the card types are in the game and how that influences how you build your deck and how you fight at sectors. But I think the main takeaway here is that you kind of want to have as many flag units as you can. Like, try not to skimp on them too much, because they're the bread and butter of your deck, and they're what's going to help you take sectors. And characters and fortifications are nice. They give you different options for what your units can do and what options are available to you during a battle. But it's usually flag units that are going to help you win the game. And again, non-flags are kind of in the same boat where they're really good for supporting your forces. Like, they can be very powerful, but flags are what's going to help you win games. So I hope that helped. Maybe a little bit shorter video or longer video, I don't know, but I hope it was helpful. Again, if you like this content, please like, comment, subscribe. You're also welcome to check out my blog, pandoraprimerecon.com, to learn more about, once you learn more of the rules, to learn some of my, my ideas about strategy and deck building, that kind of thing. You're more than welcome to check out the blog. That'd be greatly appreciated. Again, this is Dave from Pandora Prime Recon, and thanks so much for watching.